Okay, so actually, it turned out we had run out of space on the memory card, so I had to go download the videos again. But it gave you a little bit of time to think. Did you? I told you there was a little way, I guess, a way to make your argument slightly easier. Did you figure out what was going on?
Well, I think so.
Okay.
So, the way to tell if two infinities are the same size is by is mapping them like this.
Mm-hmm.
And since we can always add on this new element, we can never find a mapping way that works.
That's exactly right.
So, they're never the same. We can't say that they're the same size. So, one must be greater than the other. And since all of the mapping ways you can find leave elements in this set out of the mapping, that means this set must be the greater infinity.
Yep, that's exactly right. So we started. You don't want to try to repeat something infinitely many times, because the surprising thing is you might actually not grow bigger than the infinity you're at. And I'll actually give you an example of that. But what we're saying here actually is, hey, I created a map, a one-to-one map between the integers and the real numbers. That's why I came to you and I said that.
Yeah.
And then you came back to me and said, oh, hey, I found a number that's not on your list. And so, because you can follow that procedure with any map, from the one-to-one map from the integers to the reals, that must mean the reals are larger. So that's right. And let me give you the example of sort of repeating something infinitely many times, but still staying at the countable infinity.
Okay.
All right? So I can start with the integers. That's obviously the same size as the integers.
Yep.
Then I can move to 2 dimensions, like we did, and I can look at the grid points. So
Okay.
I repeated the process one time,
Yep.
and there was still the same number.
Yeah. There. Prove that.
What do you think the next step I'm going to do here
You
is?
have to go into 3-dimensional space.
Yeah, now I go to 3 dimensions, and it's going to turn out the grid points in 3 dimensions can be mapped one-to-one to the integers. Do you see how to do it?
Well, basically you just have to map the grid points to the 3-dimensional space.
Okay. How are you going to do it?
You have to, well, you could sort of snake in the same way.
Right. Yeah, it's the same argument. You do the same sort of snake argument. It's just a slightly more complicated. But so that shows that the grid points in 3D are the same as the integers. And then 4D.
You have the same, probably.
And I keep going. I can go infinitely many times. So I can as high a dimension as you want to go to. The grid points actually are always countable. So it's a surprise, right?
Yeah.
That's the surprise. So you never, even no matter how high you get, I want to be careful about how I say that. No matter how high you get, you'll never be able to put the grid points one-to-one to the real numbers, because they always map one-to-one to the integers.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's why your argument of sort of, if you have to repeat infinitely many times, it must be a higher infinity, isn't quite right. But there was an easy argument that showed the real numbers map to a higher infinity. And you already had it.
Okay.
So good. All right, cool. There's a lot of interesting and very strange behaviors with infinities. One we've looked at previously was called the Banach-Tarski paradox. Do you remember that one?
Is that the one where you can split a sphere into 2 spheres of the same size?
Mm-hmm. And there's a few other sort of equally very weird things. One I was going to try to talk about today, but it turned out to be a little harder. It's called the axiom of choice. So there's lots of neat things with infinities. It's a surprisingly rich subject. Anyway, good work today.